In this comprehensive guide, I will reveal the 8 types of people we should not help. The insights in this text are crucial for anyone who values their time, energy, and emotional well-being. Before we delve into these categories, let me share a story that encapsulates the core lesson of this guide. Once upon a time, there was a farmer named Joe who lived in a quaint village. Joe was known far and wide for his kindness and willingness to help others. One day, he found a snake trapped in a snare in his field. Despite the danger, Joe felt compassion for the snake and decided to set it free. He took care of the snake, feeding it and providing a safe place for it to recover. However, as soon as the snake felt better, it bit Joe and slithered away. Joe, hurt and surprised, realized that the snake's nature was to bite, no matter how much help it received. This story teaches us that some individuals, like the snake, do not change their nature. Sometimes, in our desire to help, we can ignore the signs and end up getting hurt. It is crucial to know who we help and understand that not everyone will value or appreciate our efforts. Imagine your energy is like a battery. Some people recharge it, while others drain it faster than a phone with 100 apps open. Sound familiar? Well, let's explore these energy vampires and why it is crucial to recognize them. Chapter 1: The Ingrates. Have you ever met someone who seems to have a black hole instead of a heart? These people, no matter how much you give them, always want more and are never satisfied. Imagine you are at a restaurant enjoying a delicious dinner with friends. Suddenly you hear someone loudly complaining about the food, the service, even the color of the napkins. Yes, you've guessed it, it's the professional ingrate in action. But why do some people seem perpetually dissatisfied? Psychology has some interesting answers. According to a study by the University of California, people with low self-esteem tend to be less grateful. It's like they have a filter that only lets the negative pass through, blocking all the good that life offers them. Now, we're not saying you should cut ties with everyone who forgets to say thank you, but it's important to recognize when someone is constantly abusing your kindness. As the famous businessman Richard Branson once said, "Treat your employees as you want them to treat your best customers." We could extend this advice to all our relationships. Think of gratitude as a plant. It needs to be watered and cared for to grow. If you are constantly giving water your time, energy, resources to a plant that never blooms, perhaps it's time to ask yourself if you're cultivating in the wrong garden. Be careful not to confuse ingratitude with constructive honesty. Your friend who tells you that you have spinach in your teeth before an important date isn't an ingrate, they're a hero without a cape. The difference lies in the intention and the pattern of behavior. A fascinating study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology revealed that grateful people are not only happier but also have stronger and more enduring relationships. It's as if gratitude is the invisible glue that holds our social connections together. What do we do with these people? The answer is not simple, but we can take some lessons from positive psychology. Martin Seligman, considered the father of this branch of psychology, suggests that cultivating gratitude benefits not only the receiver but also the giver. So instead of getting frustrated with ingrates, we might see them as an opportunity to strengthen our own ability to appreciate the good in life. It's like going to the gym, but for our gratitude muscle. However, let's not confuse being grateful with being a bottomless pit. Setting healthy boundaries is as important as being generous. As the writer Brené Brown once said, generosity is not infinite, and it isn't true generosity if it comes from resentment. Remember, their lack of gratitude says more about them than it does about you. As the psychologist Carl Rogers once said, the curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change. So, the next time you encounter an ingrate, take a deep breath, remember your own worth, and ask yourself, does this person deserve my energy? If the answer is no, it's okay to take a step back. You're not being selfish, you're practicing self-care. And if you decide to continue helping, do it because you genuinely want to, not because you expect recognition. As the philosopher Immanuel Kant said, act in such a way that you use humanity, both in your person and in the person of any other, always at the same time as an end, never merely as a means. Chapter 2: The Lazy. Have you ever met someone who seems to have an allergy to effort? Those people who always have an excuse for not doing anything, as if the couch were their natural habitat and the remote control an extension of their hand? Welcome to the fascinating world of the lazy, those masters of the art of doing nothing who teach us valuable lessons about productivity or the lack thereof. Imagine you are in a work meeting and you hear someone say, "I couldn't finish the report because my cat ate my motivation." Yes, you've guessed it. It's the professional lazy person in action. But why do some people seem to have a PhD in procrastination? Science has some interesting answers. According to a study by the University of Calgary, laziness might actually be an evolutionary strategy to conserve energy. It's as if our caveman ancestors bequeathed us the energy-saving or battery-saving mode gene. But in today's world, where we don't need to save energy to escape predators, this strategy can become counterproductive. The psychologist William James once said, "Nothing is so fatiguing as the eternal hanging on of an incomplete task," and he was right. Procrastination not only affects our productivity but also our mental health. A study published in the Journal of Psychological Science found that people who procrastinate regularly have higher levels of stress and worse health overall. But all is not lost for our lazy friends. As the famous physicist Albert Einstein once said, "Laziness is the mother of all inventions," and while he probably said it while looking for an excuse not to comb his hair, he has a point. Sometimes the need to avoid work can lead to creative and innovative solutions. How do we identify a chronic lazy person? Here are some warning signs. The king of excuses: these individuals have more excuses than a cat has lives. "I couldn't exercise because my plant needed me to sing to it to grow" is just the tip of the iceberg. The expert in "I'll do it tomorrow" for them. Tomorrow is a magical place where all pending work accumulates. Spoiler alert that tomorrow never comes. The multitasker of leisure: they can watch Netflix, scroll through Instagram, and complain about their work all at the same time. If they put that energy into being productive, they probably would have solved global warming by now. The shortcut seeker: always looking for the easiest way to do things. If there were an app to breathe for you, they would be the first to download it. The 5 more minutes enthusiast: for them, the alarm clock is just a friendly suggestion. Just 5 more minutes, they say, and before they know it, an hour has passed. Now, we're not saying you should cut ties with everyone who prefers a nap over a gym session, but remember, surrounding ourselves with lazy people risks turning us into the sore thumb in a hand of slackers. As Jim Rohn, entrepreneur and motivational author, said, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, so choose your company wisely, because you might end up being the only tooth in a mouthful of motivational cavities." Chapter 3: The Irresponsible. Have you ever met someone who seems to live in a world without consequences? Welcome to the fascinating universe of the irresponsible, those experts in dodging commitments and blaming everything and everyone but themselves. Imagine you are on a boat and suddenly you notice there's a hole in the hull and water is starting to pour in. While you and the rest of the crew are desperately trying to plug the hole and bail out the water, you see someone sitting calmly on the deck, sunbathing, and saying, "It's not my problem. I didn't make the hole." That, my friends, is the irresponsible in their natural habitat. When we try to help someone with this behavior pattern, we often find ourselves in a frustrating cycle. No matter how hard we try to support them, our help rarely results in significant progress. The irresponsible avoid responsibilities and have an almost Olympic ability to blame others for their own failures. If something goes wrong, even if it is completely unrelated to our intervention, we can end up being pointed out as the culprits. This is not only unfair, but can also take a significant emotional and reputational toll on those trying to help. Therefore, it is essential to adopt a careful approach when dealing with people who behave this way. An effective strategy is to invite them to reflect on their actions and the consequences they entail. Instead of solving their problems for them, we can guide them to develop self-evaluation and self-management skills. Neuroscientist Richard Davidson has shown that the brain is incredibly plastic, capable of changing and adapting even in adulthood. So there is hope, although they may need a nudge or perhaps a push the size of an elephant. As Nelson Mandela once said, "There is nothing like returning to a place that remains unchanged to find the ways in which you yourself have altered," and it's true. Sometimes the best way to help is to let people face the consequences of their actions. This does not mean abandoning them, but allowing them to learn and grow from their mistakes. Chapter 4: The Manipulators. Have you ever met someone who makes you feel like you're a character in their game of chess? Welcome to the fascinating world of the manipulators, those experts in bending reality to their advantage and making you feel like you are always a step behind. Imagine you are a magician's assistant. Every time you think you have learned the trick, the magician changes the game and makes you doubt what you saw. This is exactly how manipulators operate. They use your emotions and thoughts to control you, making you feel guilty or indebted for things that are not your responsibility. Manipulators are like social puppeteers, pulling the strings of your emotions to get what they want. They can be charming and persuasive, using flattery and deceit to achieve their goals. And the worst part? They make you doubt your own perceptions and decisions, turning you into an actor in their theater of control. But why are some people so adept at manipulation? According to psychology, this behavior often stems from narcissistic or Machiavellian traits. Narcissists, for example, have an inflated sense of self-importance and an insatiable need for admiration. They see others as tools to fulfill their own needs and desires. Recognizing manipulators is not always easy, as they are experts in hiding their true intentions. However, here are some warning signs. The charming deceiver, they use flattery and charm to gain your trust, only to later exploit you. The guilt trip expert, they make you feel guilty for things that are not your fault, manipulating your emotions to get what they want. The drama creator, they create conflicts and drama to divert attention from their own manipulative behavior. The victim player, they portray themselves as victims to gain sympathy and manipulate others into helping them. The information hoarder, they control information to maintain power over others, revealing only what is necessary to achieve their goals. To deal with manipulators, it is essential to maintain strong boundaries and not let them control your actions or decisions. Recognize their tactics and remain firm in your values and beliefs. As the writer and speaker Steve Maraboli said, the most powerful way to win an argument is by asking questions. It can make people see the flaws in their logic. Chapter 5, The Perpetual Critics. Have you ever met someone who always finds something negative to say, regardless of the situation? Welcome to the world of perpetual critics, those experts in the art of undermining and demoralizing. Imagine you are an artist proudly showing your latest painting. Suddenly, someone appears and says, "The colors are too bright, the lines are too bold, and the subject is too boring." Yes, you've guessed it, it's the perpetual critic in action. But why do some people seem to have a built-in negativity filter? Perpetual critics are not just frustrating, they can be genuinely destructive. Their constant criticism can impact your self-esteem and confidence, making you doubt your abilities and decisions. A study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that criticism, especially when it is constant and unconstructive, can lead to increased levels of stress and decreased motivation. However, it's important to differentiate between constructive criticism and perpetual negativity. Constructive criticism is aimed at helping you improve, while perpetual criticism is aimed at undermining you. Here are some warning signs of a perpetual critic. The nitpicker, they find fault in everything, no matter how small or insignificant. The negative forecaster, they predict failure and disaster in every situation, discouraging you from pursuing your goals. The comparer, they constantly compare you to others, making you feel inadequate and inferior. The underminer, they subtly undermine your achievements and successes, making you doubt your worth. The complainer, they always have something to complain about, spreading negativity wherever they go. To deal with perpetual critics, it's essential to maintain a balanced perspective and not take their comments personally. Focus on constructive feedback and ignore the negativity. As the writer and psychologist Brené Brown said, "Don't try to win over the haters, you are not a jackass whisperer." Remember, their negativity reflects their own insecurities and not your abilities. Chapter 6, The Narcissists. Have you ever met someone who seems to think the world revolves around them? Welcome to the fascinating world of narcissists, those individuals with an inflated sense of self-importance and an insatiable need for admiration. Imagine you are at a party and someone enters the room, immediately demanding everyone's attention. They talk about themselves non-stop, dismissing others' achievements and feelings. Yes, you've guessed it, it's the narcissist in action. But why do some people seem to have such an exaggerated sense of self-worth? Narcissists have an inflated sense of self-importance and a constant need for admiration. They are experts at turning every conversation into a monologue about themselves, disregarding others' needs and feelings. This behavior can be draining, as they seek to be the center of attention and often view others' successes as threats to their own superiority. Recognizing narcissists is crucial, as their behavior can be harmful to your well-being. Here are some warning signs. The attention seeker, they constantly seek attention and admiration, dominating conversations and social situations. The self-promoter, they boast about their achievements and talents, often exaggerating or fabricating their accomplishments. The empathy lacker, they lack empathy and are indifferent to others' feelings and needs. The criticism averter, they react defensively to any form of criticism, unable to accept or learn from feedback. The exploiter, they exploit others for their own gain, using manipulation and deceit to achieve their goals. To deal with narcissists, it's essential to set clear boundaries and not feed into their need for constant admiration. Recognize their tactics and remain firm in your values and beliefs. As the writer and psychologist Eleanor Roosevelt said, "No one can make you feel inferior without your consent." Chapter 7: The Opportunists. Have you ever met someone who seems to take advantage of every situation for their own gain, without offering anything in return? Welcome to the world of opportunists, those individuals who are always looking for ways to benefit themselves, often at the expense of others. Imagine you are working on a group project, and someone appears out of nowhere, taking credit for your work and disappearing when it's time to put in the effort. Yes, you've guessed it, it's the opportunist in action. But why do some people seem to have such a strong sense of self-interest? Opportunists are experts at taking advantage of others' generosity and resources without offering anything in return. They use manipulation and flattery to get what they want, but disappear when effort or sacrifice is required on their part. Recognizing opportunists is crucial, as their behavior can be draining and detrimental to your well-being. Here are some warning signs of an opportunist. The credit taker, they take credit for others' work and achievements, often without contributing anything themselves. The flatterer, they use flattery and charm to gain favor, but their compliments are often insincere and self-serving. The resource drainer, they constantly ask for help and resources without offering anything in return. The effort avoider, they avoid putting in effort or taking responsibility, leaving others to do the work. The disappearing act, they disappear when it's time to contribute or make a sacrifice, only reappearing when there is something to gain. To deal with opportunists, it's essential to set clear expectations and boundaries from the beginning. Encourage reciprocity and ensure that relationships are equitable. Protect your resources and be cautious about extending help to those who consistently take without giving back. As the philosopher Aristotle said, "A friend to all is a friend to none." Chapter 8: The Envious. Have you ever met someone who seems never to be happy with what they have and constantly covets what others possess? Welcome to the world of the envious, those individuals who are always dissatisfied and resentful of others' successes. Imagine you achieve a significant milestone and instead of celebrating with you, someone says, "It must be nice to have everything handed to you." Yes, you've guessed it, it's the envious in action. But why do some people seem to have such a strong sense of discontent and jealousy? Envious individuals are never happy with what they have and constantly covet what others possess. Their envy can lead to resentment and attempts to undermine those they perceive as more successful. Recognizing envious people is crucial, as their behavior can be detrimental to your well-being and success. Here are some warning signs of an envious person. The comparer, they constantly compare themselves to others, feeling inadequate and resentful. The underminer, they subtly undermine others' achievements and successes, making them feel less worthy. The complainer, they always have something to complain about, spreading negativity and dissatisfaction. The resentful, they harbor resentment towards those who are more successful or fortunate. The saboteur, they may go out of their way to sabotage others' efforts and successes. To deal with envious individuals, it's essential to maintain a positive attitude and not let their negativity affect you. Focus on your own goals and achievements and avoid engaging in comparisons. As the writer and motivational speaker Zig Ziglar said, "Gratitude is the healthiest of all human emotions. The more you express gratitude for what you have, the more likely you will have even more to express gratitude for." Conclusion: the power of discernment. As we conclude this comprehensive guide, it's crucial to remember that discernment is key in deciding who to help and who to keep at arm's length. Recognizing these 8 types of people can save you from unnecessary stress and emotional drain, allowing you to invest your time and energy in those who genuinely appreciate and benefit from your support. Helping others is a noble and fulfilling endeavor, but it is equally important to recognize when your efforts are being exploited or unappreciated. By setting healthy boundaries and being discerning in your generosity, you can protect your well-being and ensure that your support makes a positive impact. As the famous writer and philosopher Epictetus said, "The key is to keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best. Surround yourself with those who value and appreciate your help, and you will find that your generosity is met with gratitude and reciprocation." Epilogue: reflect and grow. As you go through life, remember to reflect on your interactions and relationships. Continuously evaluate whether your efforts to help others are being appreciated and reciprocated. Personal growth and fulfillment come from surrounding yourself with positive influences and being mindful of those who may drain your energy. In the end, it is not about helping everyone indiscriminately, but about making a meaningful impact on those who truly value and benefit from your generosity. Use your discernment wisely, and you will find that your efforts lead to deeper, more fulfilling relationships and a more positive, balanced life. By understanding and recognizing these types of people, you can protect your energy and ensure that your efforts to help others are both appreciated and effective. Choose your company wisely and let your generosity flourish in a positive and supportive environment.